Welcome to our final news and sports broadcast on SVG-TV for 2013. I'm Khalil Cato with the details. In our lead story, prominent Christian leader here, Pastor Noel Clark, is of the view that the disaster that struck St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Christmas Eve was a message from God. Speaking on the Encounter program aired last evening on SVG-TV, Pastor Clark says what SVG experienced last Tuesday, December 24th, was simply God talking to the nation. Clark adds that it is strongly his belief that God is calling on persons to retract, think, and reassess their lives.
God destroyed the people of Norway. He has since sent us a rainbow to remind us of the impending danger of rain and floods. But God has promised us not to destroy the world anymore with water. But this time it's fire and brimstone. So we want to, as preachers, to remind people of that. Is that if you think that another one is coming like this to wipe us out, no. This is just a warning sign to the nation. Could you imagine that St. Vincent experienced hailstorm? I'm not asking, I'm telling you, I can prove it. While I was speaking to one of my members in the upper part of Spring Village, she said, "Pastor, you're hearing stones falling in the house," and it caused me to be of the opinion that it was the volcano.
Okay.
Right, and I saw the lightning on the hill, so I was of that opinion.
Clark is also of the view that lately Vincentians have been deviating from the real meaning of Christmas.
It's more of a festive more than festivity. And I have to begin with us as a church. You found the lowest attendance recently in churches is around Christmas time, which telling you that what you're saying to us that people are putting God in his wrong perspective. If the season is about Christmas, it should be about Christ and spending time with him. How would you like to be invited to my birthday party and I'm not there to celebrate and to enjoy it? And this is what has been happening. We've been spending so much money shopping, curtains, painting, all the ham, what have you, and Christ is out of it. When we should be in church, we're shopping. When we should be in church, we're painting. And I believe God is speaking to us that if we believe, as Christians, we believe in Christmas, we must keep Christ first and foremost and number one in our life. That's my perspective.
Meanwhile, in making his contribution to the issue on the program, Pastor Stephen Oliver says it is important that persons understand and realize that they cannot blame God for what transpires on earth.
You look at what happened in the Garden of Eden. Our foreparents were given a choice. What was the choice? Don't eat of that fruit of the tree in the Garden of Eden. What they did, the devil showed them it was something good. They partook of it. When they did that, it not only affected the lives of man, but the earth. The animal kingdom was affected. The earth was also affected. So because of man's sin, we have this problem on the earth. So you can't blame God. You can't say, well, God is unfair, God is unjust.
And Pastor George Frederick commended Vincentians for their resilience and took time out to highlight some of the good he identified as a result of the devastation.
This is one time in the area where I live up in Fairhall Housing, where we all have to carry our buckets now to catch the water when they see the vessel sending them. It's a time people everybody having conversation.
Amen.
When there's no disaster, we zoom, gone, who taking out? But you could see the whole camaraderie. There's a common disaster.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has called on all government departments to show initiative at all levels during these difficult times. This comes as the country tries to recover from the December 24th floods, which damaged many homes and claimed nine lives, with 4 persons still missing. Dr. Gonsalves says it's important not only for the National Emergency Management Organization to be on the ball as it relates to natural disasters, but also other government agencies as well.
The Ministry of Social Development with its workers, all very talented, can assist in the social appraisal. But all our teachers, every teacher must be mobilized in the service of this national effort to prevent, to avert a humanitarian disaster.
He noted that the country is not in normal times and that there is a need for an extraordinary and heroic response.
We have declared a level 2 disaster. And for particular areas, we have declared disaster zones under the law. We have not declared a nationwide disaster because there is not a nationwide disaster. And to say that there is a nationwide disaster would have an implication which would not be in our own interests. First of all, it would not be true. And secondly, if we have a nationwide disaster, it would mean that tourists would not want to come. In the Grenadines, not one single hotel plant has been affected adversely. On the mainland, part of Bukama Resort, and in the Vermont Valley, the casino and tourism plant has been affected.
The Central Water and Sewage Authority, the CWSA, is praising the private sector for its assistance in making trucks available to supply water to those in need across the country. CEO Garth Saunders says over 50 trucks are currently delivering water to both the leeward and windward sides of the country, and that the private sector has to be commended for getting on board with the relief efforts.
And they are being refilled. One is being refilled. One side is being refilled at Leyu, the other side is being refilled at the Diamond Industrial Estate, and another point has been set up at the Byra Bridge. So we have 3 areas that are being supplied, that are supplying our trucks, and not our trucks but the private sector trucks. That is supplementing the CWSA's vehicles as well. But it also gives us the opportunity to focus more on our recovery and rehabilitation of the pipeline. And you will have seen the extent of the damage here at Perseverance. I have not yet been to Fancy or Owia, and I'm told that those 2 areas are even worse than what we are seeing here. And the challenges are that they are in mountainous areas, so access and the ability to transport the pipes and the materials to the damaged locations are the main challenges.
Saunders also thanked the communities for their patience, noting that restoring some of the systems will take time.
This occurred we had a lot of that being done on the leeward side, Petty Bodell and Spring Village. We've had assistance from the community in taking the pipes to the areas where they need to be replaced. Again, if we go on to the leeward side, the challenge down there is the Perseverance system, that the section that feeds Barrelly has been severely damaged. Over 600-700 feet of pipeline have to be replaced there. So the Barrelly system would be the last of the systems to be restored, and we expect that the North Leeward from Coles Hill to Richmond, that section hopefully will be ready in a day or 2, because we hope to complete the repairs there. But we've had some significant damages in Petty Bodell. So although the transmission main from Hermitage has been repaired, in the village itself of Petty Bodell we have significant damage.
A number of Christian organizations, religious groupings and churches across the country are coming together for a national charity concert in aid of disaster relief for victims of the recent devastating floods. And the event, which is being called Hope Concert, an evening of prayer and praise, is planned for Sunday, January 12th from 5 p.m. at the Victoria Park and will be held under the theme, Our Faith Will See Us Through. The concert is being organized by the umbrella grouping Hope for the Nation Committee and will feature 6 leading worship teams with intercessory prayers for the nation by leaders of various Christian organizations. The committee also plans to invite Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Leader of the Opposition Arnim Eustace, and Maxwell Charles, Minister of Ecclesiastical Affairs, to be present and to deliver addresses, while special prayers will be said for them. The public is being invited to attend in large numbers and donate food and money in special receptacles, which will be placed around the venue. And more relief supplies are pouring in for persons affected by the trough system. The inter-island ferry, the TNT Spirit, arrived here earlier this afternoon with some of these supplies. The head of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management in Tobago, Stephen Ranroop, says that the donations will provide much-needed relief to Vincentians. The TNT Spirit is due to return to Trinidad sometime tonight. In addition, the homeowners of Mustique will put on an event to raise funds for the relief effort. There's also a group out of South Rivers headed by Peter Campbell, which is planning an event for the weekend in support of residents in that area who were affected. Members of the opposition New Democratic Party convened for a meeting yesterday to discuss their role in assisting persons affected by the trough system. Although it was a closed-door meeting, some members of the party told SVG-TV News that they were heartbroken by the devastation to lives, homes, and by extension, the country on a whole. Lewis tells us more.
Members of the opposition New Democratic Party say although they are not allowed to use government resources to assist persons in need, they will find avenues to give help where it is needed. That's the position taken at a meeting of the opposition parliamentary caucus, which convened at the party's headquarters on Monday. Led by the party's leader, Alim Eustace, the members spoke extensively on the impact of the Christmas Eve trough system to this country, where so far 9 persons died and others are still missing. The opposition leader told SVG-TV News that he has visited various houses across the country and he has had a first-hand view of the devastation which took place.
We did a lot of house-to-house visits, not just pass through an area. We went into several homes. I myself, I've gone into at least 30 or 40 homes already and seen for myself what has happened in those homes. And we're going to take some time to recover from this. It's going to take significant financial resources.
Meanwhile, the constituency of North Leeward is said to have suffered the most by the ordeal. Opposition MP for North Leeward, Patel Matthews, said the community is still in shock and disbelief. Some roads are partially accessible and safe and clean water is a major concern.
We have 2 shelters in the area, 3 shelters that is, one at Spring Village, one in Fitzhughes, and there is one in Rosebank. I think 1 person or 2 persons are in the shelter in Chimuka, but the main area in terms of people who would have lost or have to move out of the house due to flooding and damage is Rosebank, where over 70-something people are in the shelter there.
Matthews, however, thanked the utility service providers for their hard work in responding to the needs of the people. Opposition candidates for the windward side of the island also gave a synopsis of the impact in those areas.
In north central Windward, we have had very significant damage in some areas. In Georgetown, the main bridge, as a matter of fact, it's the only bridge across the Carter River that collapsed under the force of the water. So right now, we have a situation where the southern slab and the northern slab, they collapsed at the center. The bridge is still being used anyway. You drive down on one slab and up the other. What it means, therefore, is that any significant rainfall, any time that river floods, that Georgetown is going to be cut off from the northern part of the island.
Well, we still don't have any water at this time. So I'm making an appeal for those persons below the river. If you can bring some water over to the people of North Windward, we'll be very grateful for your assistance.
Opposition leader Alim Eustace has proposed that persons be given duty-free concessions in order to assist in the rebuilding process. For SVG-TV News, I am Zulika Lewis.
An important milestone has been achieved for the International Airport project. We have that story coming up along with other locals right after these messages. Welcome back. We're still on the local scene. Yesterday was described as a historic day for SVG as the substantially completed terminal building of the Argyle International Airport was handed over to the government by the Overseas Engineering and Construction Company. Kristen John Dean tells us more on the ceremony in this report.
Hard work and determination of all stakeholders and the government of SVG has made the substantial completion of the terminal building possible, says the director of the Overseas Engineering and Construction Company, Chow Ming Wang. Ming Wang was speaking at the official handing over of the contractual responsibility of the passenger terminal and substation building to the government at the Argyle International Airport site. He commended all parties involved with making the day a reality.
Allow me then to take this opportunity to acknowledge the very big contribution of and the give thanks to ITC for their impressive management in the undertaking of this project. Also my appreciation and gratitude to my fellow work at OECC.
Chief Executive Officer of the International Development Company, Dr. Rudy Matthias, says the moment is a very proud one. He says they will now be focusing on the retrofitting of the terminal building for the next 6 months.
So we have already been in extensive discussions with several firms to put in things like the conveyor belts, the airline counters, immigration counters, customs facilities, all of the security scanners, the flight information systems, all of the furniture and equipment that we need for both passengers and for the administration. We expect that these facilities are going to be installed within the next 6 months. So between January and June, we are going to do all of that retrofitting.
Delivering the feature address, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Sao says plans are in place for the completion of the airport by the end of 2014. He noted that designs for the buildings are being revised and the process of selecting a management firm has commenced.
The similar situation is happening with fixed base operations and hangars. Then we are doing the terminal building access roads, the Argyle Gardens access roads, the Raraku Mount Pleasant access roads, the landscaping, the environmental management. All of those things are in place.
The construction of the Argyle International Airport commenced in 2008. Kristen John Dean reporting for SVG-TV News.
7 more Vincentians have been added to the Queen's annual New Year's Honours list. They are Errol Newton Fitzrose Allen for services in banking and financial services, CMG, Bishop Benjamin Alec Augustus Samuel for services in the Christian ministry and to the community, Order of the British Empire, OBE, and Douglas McGregor Brisbane for services to business, horticulture and community services. The others on the list are Robert Otway Linsdale Haydock for services to banking, insurance and to civil society, MBE, Michael Fitzgerald Charles for services to policing, national security and law and order, Mona Isa Dare for services to business, retail, trade and for community services, and Fayez Musa for services to business, retail, trade and community services. Turn to God was the most common phrase used today as persons were asked of their expectations for the new year. Our news team visited capital city Kingstown, where persons were busy making their last rounds for 2013, just a few hours away from the new year.
Just giving thanks and praise to be alive. Many persons did not get the opportunity to see the last day of this year, so I'm very grateful to God. He has been so wonderful. I just want to wish everyone a blessed 2014, and also my heart goes out to the many persons who have been affected in some way or the other. I am with you in prayer. God bless.
I'm looking forward for a good and a happy, and everybody must be good to one another. And once we be good to one another, everything will be good. The world will be live peacefully and happy.
For the new year, asking in the grannies, pray. Go to church more and pray to the Almighty God. And not curse one another and not thief from people. If you don't have them, ask. That's what you know here. And stop the killing and the fighting and the cursing. And each other must come together for the new year.
For 2014, I am most looking forward for Vincentian to change their life and live closer to God. Most likely, I am looking forward for 2014 for all the churches to come together and to help Vincentians concerning the flood that they have on the devastation, along with the people that lose their shelter and so forth.
For me, 2014, I hope my country and my people will come together and unite, because all we have as the resources is our people. And we need to understand unity is strength, and this divisiveness that we have hating each other because of color and party need to stop. We have intention.